Here I'm on Wabash and Balboa, and I'm heading southbound on Wabash. And here is Columbia University, or Columbia College, I'm sorry. Columbia University is in New York. Columbia College is in Chicago. But it's right here, and this avenue is where Columbia is, and then you have East-West University right here. But the reason I'm doing this video is because there's a lot right here that is a parking lot, and then on the other side of the parking lot is a vacant lot. And so let me show you that, the vacant lot here. And on the past sushi restaurant I used to go to all the time, and Ann went to this. They have two, maybe three, but now it's, yep, here it is. So sushi and noodle bar. So udon, Japanese noodles, buckwheat noodles. They're very good for you. And then here's a scene from a movie. Remember Rocky running up the stairs? Well, here's the stairs going from Michigan Avenue straight up to the statue. And it would be, you know, that scene, there's Rocky's running up the stairs, getting stronger, and then he gets to the top of the stairs and he turns around and throws up his arms. Well, here's something similar, and there's a big statue of a man on a horse, but here's the empty lot. So, empty lot and then parking lot behind it. So you can do a building that takes up the parking lot and the empty lot. And maybe East-West University wants to expand, and they build that building, move over to that building, and then tear down that building and build another building there. Or they can expand, or maybe Columbia wants to expand. And it's right here near the Hilton Hotel and Kitty O'Shea's, the Irish bar. And so you got several hotels right here on South Michigan Avenue. And it's right off of Grant Park. This is different. It's like the Hotel Marriott that I went to in New York. It was right off of Central Park. It was across from Central Park. These hotels are across from Grant Park. So it makes it unique. You know, I'm going to put the video down. I got some guy briding me. I'm waiting for people to cross the street, and some trash driver in the city flicking his brights at me. Why? I'm waiting for people to cross the street. You know, garbage people. So here's East-West University. So I guess they have a new building on the backside. So that's cool. So I don't know. So East-West University, and then you have Columbia University right here, or Columbia College. So CCC, Chicago Columbia College, or Columbia College of Chicago, CCC, Triple C's, Columbia College of Chicago. So the Triple C's, that's what it should be branding itself on the shirt, CCC. Chanel is two backwards C's. So it's Chanel has Chanel, and it's two C's that are backwards intertwined. These are three C's going the same way, but the C's can be very unique in design. I don't know what Bethany is doing with Columbia College, my old client. But here, Columbia College, Chicago, Triple C's. So, and I don't know how they're an expand out, but they're right on Grant Park. And they can have all kinds of courses right up here. And so could East-West University take advantage of Grant Park and the lakefront and they can take advantage of the Shedd Aquarium and Adler Planetarium and the Field Museum and all that. That's right here. Museum of Science and Industry is farther down. That's more University of Chicago thing. It's right by. And they can deal with the Museum of Science and Industry. The Field Museum and that can be part of Columbia, North and East West University. They can get into environmentals of aquatic life. Truly, aquatic life, tanks and how the aquatic life affect salt water and then the fresh water, how the aquatic life affects the fresh water, how it affects growth of, underwater vegetation in the salt water. And they have to figure out the salinity. And this is what they don't do. Not all the animals can be in the same salinity, and this is why they don't live well. You take them out of the Pacific Ocean, has a different salinity than the Atlantic Ocean, has a different salinity than the Gulf does. The Gulf has a different salinity. And these bodies of water stay these bodies of water because they're divided by salinity. And the fish need a certain amount of salinity. And the Shedd Aquarium, they have one bag and they put all this aquatic life in it, but it doesn't thrive well because it's not in the right salinity. And it does matter. So you have to match it to the water composition. Even fresh water, you have to take a sample of the fresh water and see the natural environmental makeup of the fresh water. That's why salmon are in certain places and not in others, because freshwater differs too by its properties. So they can study all that at the Shedd Aquarium and then the planetarium, so they can have astronomy, astrology programs. Astronomy and astrology, both knowing both, is a very good thing. And they can open up all kinds of things. And they have the parks here that they can use for softball programs. Truly, they can have all kinds of athletic programs. Like at the University of Arizona, I took volleyball and I took martial arts. But there are all kinds of athletic programs, courses you could take. And they can offer them here, the universities, or Columbia College and Northwest University, or East West University, I should say, because it's right here on the parks. They can do all kinds of things. So in the winter, they can have hockey programs and figure skating programs for the students, truly. And instructors that take that, that's part of your general ed. Or you can take courses like park management courses, truly, park management. And so East West University and Columbia College, one can do graphic design, planning of parks and so on, and create software, truly software for managing and graphically designing parks and maintaining, so on. And then they can have horticulture at East West University, the horticulture of parks and maintaining the horticulture or the botany of the parks. And so they can open these programs and use the parks. And so they can offer a much broader variety, and they can get cutting edge majors. Truly, they can open up some majors and some fields working with the Botanic Garden, Morton's Garden, and hire people that are these, like the Chicago White Sox. He's supposed to be an incredible groundskeeper. He could teach a course, say, at East West University on managing stadium fields, stadium grounds, courses in groundskeepers. You have elementary schools. They used to aerate our elementary school field, and we had a baseball field out there, and you could play soccer and so on off of Wilmot Junior High. And so they have groundskeepers at elementary schools, at high schools, at colleges. And so he could start a program here, and it could be funded by the Chicago White Sox as an endowment, And they start the program at East West University, and they make it cutting edge. And it allows the university to grow, and they have space here where they can grow. And sometimes you can build on top of an existing structure. Now, you might have to reinforce it, but if you designed it right, you can design it for future vertical growth. So in later years, you can add floors to the structure. So if you design the bottom with the right foundations and everything and reinforcements, then you can add floors to the structure. So it starts with the foundation and that, but plan for future city growth. That's another way to plan for growth. Here, let the God buy this car right here. The gods of the city. See the God? They got very important things to do. All these city gods that I'm around. So anyways, it says East West University. And so they can create this cutting edge program. I'm on a street that doesn't really have traffic, but all of a sudden it has a lot of traffic. All the city gods, right? But here's the big empty lot. So they can also further expand. This is an existing building already. So they can expand here, the university, and they can get these cutting edge programs working with the planetarium, the Shedd Aquarium, and then they can do scuba diving and other things to marine botany. Yeah, marine botany, like my friend Beth. She's a marine scientist. And marine means water. So it can be fresh water or salt water. It can be rivers or lakes or seas or oceans. So they study this, and they can open up this with freshwater using Lake Michigan and study the fish species and so on and so forth, and then study Chicago River, and they can open up all these. And I think I said somewhat of this before, but they can grow, and they can do adult education as well. So there's a lot of opportunity, and this brings a lot of people in every 4 years, and then there's grad school they start. That's another 2 years. Then there's the PhD program. That's another 2 years. So usually they come from other places for the grad programs and PhD programs mostly. And the undergrad, so you go there for undergrad, you go somewhere else for graduate school. They call it, they don't want to bastardize the program. So they like people to go somewhere else, and they like bringing in students from somewhere else. What happens is they also get educated by them and see how they're educated when they bring in students from Harvard or Yale or Princeton. Say they went to undergrad there, and now they're going to grad school, and they get a feel of how those students were and how they were educated undergrad, and it feeds into their undergrad. Their graduate demographic helps them understand how these students are performing at the graduate level so they can tweak their undergraduate level. So it gives them a lot of demographics of how these schools selected and so on, and they look at it. It's competitive demographics, and you go look at what Princeton does to, you know, what their requirements are, what type of students they bring in, and so on. And then when you get them in grad school, say you got a graduate student at East West University from Princeton because you have, you know, a cutting edge park management program that's one of the leaders in the world, and they're here. And then you get to see how they do in the program and how your educational program responds to students from Princeton. Maybe students from Princeton isn't the best fit. Maybe students from Yale, Harvard, University of Chicago, Northwestern, Illinois State, you know, maybe your programs are better, so you go less after them because you want your alumni to be successful. So not only are you analyzing how they're responding to your program and how they're doing to see if your program is right for more of them or less of them, but also you get to see how they were mentored and raised, and you can tweak your undergraduate program from that as well. So this is all competitive demographics. And so this is all great for this community, right? And then they can do East-West, like I said, the Hilton and all the others. We need hotel management schools, hotel management. Here is the Buddhist Center. So it's good to understand other religions. I talked to Buddhists and hung with Buddhists. My friend Frank was a Buddhist. So, anyways, you can do this and understand this. And it's very good for this community. And so they can use those two colleges, East-West University and Columbia College of Chicago, CCC, can use the parks in that and create other programs to expand those universities. And again, we need all kinds of different programs, from housekeeping. Yeah, truly, maids. My most hated place. Anyways, we have veterinary schools. Maybe they start a veterinary program, but for aquatic life, working with the Shedd Aquarium. Maybe they work with Lincoln Park Zoo, and they start a veterinarian program, but specifically working for veterinarians that work with zoos. Truly, we have Brookfield Zoo, we have Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago, and they can set up a program with them. Now, Lincoln Park would be close, but they can build their veterinary program, zoo management courses. Truly, zoo management, zoo administration, animal care, park maintenance for the zoo. There is so many programs that they can start within it. It's incredible. They can offer programs for Chicago police. Statistical analysis, trend, identifying perpetrators better. They can set all kinds of courses that police can go to get advancement. So they can continuously get trained and better their skill base to be better at what they do. And they can offer courses in that. So they can be certification courses, they can be designations, the police get a designation. Either way, you get a pay bump. So, and if you maintain a C grade or better, then the Chicago Police Department pays for the course. But if you get a D or fail, of course, you pay for the course. So they can set up and expand. So those universities can become more prominent, to figuring out how they can become more prominent. And Columbia University does a lot of graphic design. They started with game design, but there's all kinds of learning games you can create for little children in that, just not playing a game for how you play any Mario Brothers or whatever, but these games are dedicated to enhancing learning. So they can set up graphic design and so on and so forth, and game strategists to create games that can promote education that kids can do in a class. They sit down and play a game. Like when I was in special ed, they had me do a lot of not crossword, but a lot of mazes and other games. When I was in rehab, to make us more aware in that, we actually did certain games. So you can create these games that are for educational purposes for other schools or rehabilitation programs or advanced training in something. Even games on how to interact better with a computer. You can create a game for Excel. How to better understand and be more in tune with Excel. It's a game. It's a video game. You get points and you make different levels, but it's a game building spreadsheets, and you make it into a video game. It's an educational video game, and it's for little kids and adults and that, how to build spreadsheets or access database. And that can be all done at Columbia University using their graphic designs, where they can use these things as ability to design games, and those games are designed to build school, like Google Docs, right? Google's moving here. Now they can build games that can be used to train people on how to properly use Google Docs, right? So these are all programs that can be done at Columbia University or East West University. If I had money, I would create, or I talked to my friends about creating funding and building out these universities here. So it's a good thing, and it creates, a much more productive and a much more educated and so on. Here you go. And they can go into the theatrical district too and create all kinds of intertwining animation into the theatrical district. So they can use holograms and everything for stage shows, creating better theatrical shows, truly. So creating these hologram backgrounds in theatrical, the green screens behind the stage. And so you can get a city line in that. Instead of how they do it now, you can actually create these virtual realities that the actors interact with on the theatrical stage. And these are from the universities and the designers, and then they create businesses that do it. So they learn through it and internships, and then it starts businesses. That's how you incubate. So the greatest incubators are educational institutions. Educational institutions, forget they're incubators. That's what they are. And these kids are developing through, and if they're doing it right, they come out and they start these businesses or go on and expand businesses like Apple and Google and Microsoft or whatever, or Qualcomm. So universities are incubators. And they forget they're incubators. So are elementary school. They incubate students and prepare them for high school. It's a preparatory school. What are they preparing you for? The next stage, high school. When you're in high school, it's a preparatory. What are they preparing you for? The next stage, college. College is a preparatory school. What are they preparing you? The next stage, to get out into the professional environment. But you should have already had work experience through internships and other jobs at lower levels. Like Jen, she worked in her mother's dry cleaners all the time. So did Gina and Charles. So they had a lot of skill base, and she graduated from the University of Chicago in entrepreneurship. Her mother was an entrepreneur. And she worked in a dry cleaning store with her mother, truly. And she could tell me all the stuff her mother did, and she understand it. And Gina and Charles worked in it. And that was their entrepreneur training. Like my dad used to take me out. I see the taxi cab drivers. I sat in the front seat next to my dad. He only took rear seat passengers. And my father mentored me, taking the fares, how the meter works, how to pick up people, and all this. My father was very good at it. Truly, incredibly good. And he died when I was 7, so he died young. And the whole thing is, my father mentored me. He took me to Jerry's and with golf, truly golf clubs and design, and Jerry owned the plumbing company, but in the basement, he had golf clubs and golf balls, and he would talk about their design and everything. Truly, he was into it because he was a plumber. He worked with piping and everything else, and that's what they used to make clubs, tubes, and metal, and Jerry understood it. And so he would sit down there with my father, and I would just listen to him, and he would explain the golf clubs and everything. And he had tons and tons of, I've never seen so many golf bags and golf balls and golf clubs. But again, mentoring. So I spent a lot of time in the business world with my father. My brother didn't get that. And they were very adverse with my father. My father loved me. I was quiet, polite, thoughtful. I assisted him, and he poured everything he could into me. So, again, this is called mentoring. That's what parents are supposed to be doing with their children. But they're so hands-off, and they don't do this. Include your child in your business. Sit them down next to you. If you're doing something, sit your child down next to you. This is what mommy does. This is what daddy does. This is what I do. Like child's, like making food and that. I did that with my mom, and yes, I licked the spoon and so on when she is making frosting, but truly, I loved all that. And she included me. She had the little lamb thing and make the pound cake. Then you pour it into the mold. Then you close the mold. Truly. And then you make the lamb. And then she would ice the lamb. She made the lamb from scratch. We had a mold for the lamb for Easter. But she imparted this on me. And that's what you're supposed to do with your kids. You know, take them out to Marvin did that with me with snowmobiles, hooker tracks, carbide. He used to use carbide to cut through the ice. And so they put this carbide on the blades of the snowmobiles so the carbides would cut into the ice and so we could turn better. So he put this carbide blade under the blade. So he had to weld it in and so on. And he taught me all that. Then we put the spikes on the track. He called it a hooker track, but we would put them in the rubber track, these little grips. And so it could grab onto the ice. My phaser snowmobiles, they tracked incredibly well. Those things were awesome. And he spent a lot of time building them out, modifying them, and upgrading them. And I built the deck with Marvin. And I worked in the gas station, and Tim and Matt and that would talk about mechanics and so on. And I was a very quiet, but you know, it's very good being a shy kid. You know that? It's very good being a shy kid. Like Jen, she's shy. That means she doesn't talk. She listens a lot. And I told you, not until my mid-20s or so did I even open up. I was a fly on the wall. Kids, they got big mouths. They should shut their mouth and think. Think. Don't ask questions. Think through it. Let them explain. You think about things. Then you can go play with them. Teach them to think. Not ask you questions and give you that, and you give them the answers. Let them see what you do and then go out there and work on your bike. I took everything apart. I adjusted the spokes that adjust the tension, and you name it. I took it all apart and put it together. But that's what they're supposed to do. You're not supposed to give them the answers. They're supposed to watch and then go recreate on their own. That's why you give them toys and they go play. Truly, I watch the war movies, then I take my little green men and then I would reenact battle scenes. Truly, battle scenes with my little green army men. And yes, once I lit up a little green army man. He got hit with a bazooka. I had my bazooka guy, and he hit him with the bazooka, and then I set him on fire. Just one time. But that's what happens. You get hit with the bazooka, and you in the fire. But anyways, I love my little green army men. So I had my little sniper guy who laid down shooter, and then my bazooka guy, and then I had my other infantry and so on. And then I used to play a lot of Risk. No one beat me. I'm undefeated at Risk. And so that takes espionage and all the other stuff, and it was great. And so in our dorm at Benedictine, we played a lot of board games, unbelievable amount of board games, and it was awesome. If we didn't have some jerks, the whole small college experience would have been incredible. But they pushed me out of it, so I wanted to get away from small schools because, like at the high school, it wasn't a good thing. So, you know, I couldn't get distance between me and the jerk-offs. And so but the small school experience would have been incredible, truly. We did things that we didn't do, like we watched TV together and we did things. And so if we didn't have jerks, and this is why I hate jerks, and I think they should be crushed. I mean, unbelievably crushed. Because the experience would have been unbelievable, and I would have stayed there and I would have graduated. But they made everything a living nightmare. And a lot of the kids I was with also left. I wasn't the only one. I went to a friend, my friend Paul, who was at American. His father was a captain for American Airlines. We had a going away party Paul threw, and I went to his house, and he had a swimming pool, and we threw this going away party. So they threw a going away party. I was going away, but other people were leaving, and they lost a lot of people in the freshman class because of the bullies, these jerk-offs. And so I don't understand it. So getting rid of these people, very critical. Then people can focus on expanding their minds and everything. Why do you think in the black community they have such dropout rates in that, and they don't focus on education? Because you have safe passages and everything. And so you're just worried about survival. That's not how it's supposed to be. That shouldn't be the problem anymore. And as an advanced society, survival, life-threatening, they just put a cap in you and we're done with you and we move on. So this is not a dog-eat-dog world anymore. And places like China have learned that. And they put a cap in you. They do. They're fast to kill you. But that's how they've grown so fast compared to India. India allows the bad people to get away with it. My friend Dean's Indian. He went over there and he says it's ridiculous. In China, they're very much on cleaning up things. And so if you're a bad person, you're going to be executed. Not if, it's just when. And when they catch up to you, they're going to eliminate you. You're not good for society. And they want to eliminate those people that aren't good for society. Either you're pushing it forward or you're 10 feet under. And that's truly their mentality. Either you're moving society forward or you're 10 feet underground. That's your choice. So we put up with the scumbags. That's why Chicago's been dying forever. We need to put them 10 feet under. The state needs to start executing people left and right. And I do truly mean bring back the death penalty, put the fear in them, knowing that they're going to go to God very quickly and burn. So they're not going to be able to delay the inevitable. That's the whole point of Judas. You missed that part of the story. The point was putting them in God's hands as fast as humanly possible to condemn him. So he died very quickly so he can burn, so God can get his hands at him. And that's the whole Marine Corps adage. Kill them all and let God sort them out. Get them in the ground as fast as possible, put them in God's hands, and let God deal with them. Not our problem anymore. And that's how we should be doing it. Eliminating the problems. So if you're a problem, you should be put 10 feet under. And then you don't get all the police cars flying around the street and, all the people running, got to get out of the way because the big bad policeman has to fly. And this means that he's ill-positioned. Why does he have to go all that distance to a crime scene? That's why we have precincts. That's what they were designed to. And if you need to create remote precincts, which they did in New York, then they broke the precinct down, set up a trailer, and created remote precincts so they could even put them closer to the crime. So flying blocks and blocks, that should never happen anymore. The response time should be within 30 seconds. I told you in Tucson when I had the highway thing and the ambulance was there within a couple minutes. The ambulance was there and they were already gone by the time I turned around, and it was only a few minutes, and they were already picked up and gone in a few minutes. We're not talking half an hour, few minutes. I was amazed how fast they responded, how fast they got them in, and they were gone. And all that was left was the trooper in the car that was on the side of the road, and I talked to the trooper. But in a couple minutes, they were already picked up and gone into the hospital. That fast. So I don't get it. The response time is horrible. Just flying down a half a mile to go to some response. You got to be kidding me. You're talking about incompetent to the nth degree. So I don't get this. But anyways, and then we got the new casino coming in, right? Right here on the river, and the river improving and so on. So when is Chicago going to get out of the ghetto? When is the ghetto going to get out of Chicago? So here's this coming down. And then they got to pull out all the electric, right? You got sewer systems that need to be pulled out. They got to hollow out. They got to pull out all the underground wiring. They got to turn off the gas pipes. They got to turn off the sewers and block them. They got to pull out on the underground wiring. Stay on your side of the street, please. Wow. The wild, wild west. It's not where you want to come for fun and enjoy life. You're coming down here because of all the baddies. It's Chicago PD everywhere. It's a night show. It's fiction. It's not supposed to be really happening. Those are the best shows. They don't exist. Like Batman. It's not real. So, anyways, they got to be pulling everything out, right? So, they got to be shutting off the sewer systems and all that, right? That leave it in there. They got to block them off, right? And they got to pull out all the sewer, all that underground concrete, all those underground pipes, all those underground wires, communication wires. You know, when they bring down this building, there's all kinds of old telecommunication wiring as well. And then the electrical wiring and everything else, that all has to be recaptured. So there's a lot going on here. It's more complicated than you think. And they got to shut off and bleed everything. They got to shut off the sewers, the gas lines, the electrical, underground telecommunication. They all have to be shut off. The water, it all has to be shut off. And then they have to remove it all. And then they have to reinstall piping. So this is a great time to upgrade the systems and even upgrade things with the river. Since you're going to do this project, you got to upgrade the community, right? We're supposed to be upgrading the community. That's the point of Bear Stadium, but this is supposed to upgrade all this community around it. So they need to upgrade the sewer systems, bigger building. Sewer system, fire hydrant system, right? So they have to upgrade the water lines. The water capacity right here, second fire hydrant. But when you have these high-level buildings, they have sprinkler systems in that, but if you need the fire hydrants, how many do you need for these bigger buildings, right? So here's another one, but how many do you need for these bigger buildings? So let's go back here. Let's see how many fire hydrants we got back on this side. You see any fire hydrants? Is there one? I think that's one on the building. Right there. There's a fire hydrant. But that's for the building, right? But it has to be used for the building next to it, right? They have to pay them for the water use, but they have to use it for the building that's going up next to it, right? So I don't see any outside fire hydrants, but there's another set of fire hydrants there. But they have to use it for around. they're supposed to be updating the infrastructure, right? So the ramp here to a garage. And like I said, this is the Congress Expressway. They can put an entrance ramp here or an exit ramp here. You can create another ramp coming to and getting off from Congress. It's called the Spur. And so they can create one here, a spur that enters and exits if they wanted to. So, again, they're supposed to be updating all this infrastructure, right? And I guess I got to put this on YouTube because it's too long. But they're supposed to be updating all this infrastructure. Like here, these are train lines, right? This is a commercial train line. But does the Metra come through here? And is this going to be a new Metra stop? This can be a new Metra stop. There's the RTA stop that's right down the block, and I'll wait here. But right by Gallery Marchetti. And this is a very beautiful place. Gallery Erica threw an event here, and I wanted to see her, Erica Wang from Akera. And she threw an event here at Gallery Marchetti, my only time here. And I paid maybe $100 for the ticket or something. Gallery Marchetti. And it is a beautiful grounds. And so, again, I didn't see her. She wasn't here yet. She, I guess, was coming later. And since I didn't know anyone, I left. But I used to shop at her store, too. I bought shoes there and that. And so I tried to support her after I split from my ex. But, you know, I didn't have a lot of money. It was expensive to buy the ticket to come down here. Not a lot of funds, but I supported her. And I sent her a ton of emails. Unbelievable amount of emails I sent to her and John. And I don't really like John that much. I don't know Eric, but I have no feelings either way for Eric. But I care deeply about Erica. And so they're supposed to be updating this whole corridor, right? This is part of it. And these places down here are going to benefit greatly. And this is going to be good for attracting and retaining talent. Truly, people moving here, the Pearl Club and all this. So this should be very vibrant for this as you go down here, the Fulton Market. And you get other places. And so this area is going to benefit greatly. Here's another train line all over Chicago. But these stations are, you know, rusting metals. So, but we're going to move into Fulton Market. But this works perfectly for Fulton Market. And you have K2, the building. And there's Levine, not Levine, but the other company, Calvert Management right in here, the mutual fund that I used to deal with, and they can grow. I like them. I use them and was going to use them more. They had some specialty funds that I liked and I publicized, and so they're a good investment company. And so there's a lot of them besides Vanguard. And you have the Google building. It says Google in big letters. And so you have this area. This is supposed to be retracting and attaining talent, right? This is about it, creating a life where people want to live here. You know, they want to raise families. They want to live here. They want to stay here. So this is supposed to be, you know, this place. Well, I don't know where Calvert Funds is, but they have a building down here as well. And so, again, still, you say, oh yeah, I'm pissed. Vital Proteins. I used to buy them at Whole Foods. They're an organic protein, non-meat protein. They make exercise and other proteins that are made from, no, actually, here's a picture of it. So there's a collagen peptides and that. And so, cute Asian girls. So anyways, we have all these higher end restaurants. And I always wondered, because I read all the articles, the restaurants complain, but is this after the restaurants are closed, the taco trucks come in for late night food? That's fine. They're not competing against them. I went to Swift and Sons with Jimmy. The only thing is, the waiter, I told him I didn't drink and kept on pushing liquor on me. And I told him I love my Diet Coke. I think Diet Coke loves that I love Diet Coke. And here's at property where my other friends work. And so, and this is good, because if real estate prices move up, what happens for realtors? Commission. Even if they're not selling, leasing properties, you get higher commissions because they pay higher leasing fees. Meaning you get, because they're paying a higher rent, you get a bigger chunk. So if rents go up, then realtors make more commission each time they rent the property. And so I'm going to pull in here and let the individual, the ones who want to fly through Chicago, where's the casual driving? There's a lot of turnoffs and everything, but you get a lot of ghetto here in Chicago. Here, let me put on the flashers and let the, flying around the Lyft driver. So, anyways, so you get Patagonia. It's a good winter. I used to have a Patagonia coat. I still do, I think, but it's unbelievable. That must be about 20 to 30 years old. But anyways, Patagonia. And then you have farther down. And what was here? Harpo's studio. Oh, she pulled out of here. But I don't understand. She could have been part of all this. Oprah could have been part of all of this. Oprah started it by she put her studios here because it was cheap. They're cheap. Smart move. Here's some vacant land. This is Fulton Market. But Oprah put her studios here because the land was cheap, and she built out a big studio, and this was the meatpacking district, and there was a lot of available land, and it was very cheap. Oprah could have been part of all of this. Truly, she could have invested in this community and made a fortune. She could have been billions to the billions to the billions, truly. But instead, she pulled out. Her studio could have done all kinds of shows, TV, internet. They could have done all kinds of social media, creating short videos for Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. And so they could have, built it all out. And she would have been incredible. And then she could have helped build out the black community in Chicago. She did a show on tipping for the black community and teaching them tipping etiquette. So, again, she could have been unbelievably influential. She could have stopped the violence in Chicago. She could have done a lot, and it would have made all this land more. And Chevelle, small Chevelle, they got good burgers. Cheeseburger, hamburger, golden fries. It's good stuff. I ate at one in, I think, Wrigleyville or something. But I don't know why Oprah moved out. Stedman and them, why move out? Why not build everything up from here? And she could have been part of building out the Chicago film studios and that. And so the entertainment industry and building out her magazine here. And I guess everybody's a nut down here and doesn't pay attention to stop signs. And I'm watching the road, so you're seeing a video. You're just seeing where I'm driving. My eyes are on the road. These people drive like their eyes aren't on the road, like they're lunatics. They're like ludicrous. They're nuts. So you call me nuts, these people are insane then. They drive like maniacs. So here's where Matt's girl was part of, the West Loop Athletic Club. And so WAC. And so this is where I went to, the American Express Small Business Forum. American Express Small Business right here at Sublime Cuts of Bacon. But we were on the second floor up there, and the girl kept my book. But again, that was American Express trying to help small business owners. And it was a good thing they were doing, truly. And I went to it right here. And so, but you don't get that from Visa or MasterCard or Discover Card. And then the ones within it, does Chase have their small business where they do these things to meetings to educate and enhance their small? This is how you help your portfolio. Does Chase ever do anything for people owning mortgages? Truly. Having seminars for people in mortgages, talking about how to improve the value of your property. Chase, Bank of America, I'm members of both, and Wintrust. They have meet with their mortgage owners. They invite them down to the bank. This is to get them connected. They already have a mortgage with the bank. They invite them down, and then they work with the local realtors. So they bring in realtors from different firms to be part of talking about adding value to your property, how to do a bath remodel and kitchen remodel, how to put in McGruff, a community, action security plan. Even in these high rises, each floor, they need to organize and have security on each floor, right? Security on each floor. There's small communities in these buildings. Even if it's a commercial building, you have different, like we had Volkswagen and Porsche and Audi, and then our office. And so we had 4 businesses on our floor, and you have a little community watch, right? You watch after each other. So even in these buildings, each floor, and then it's a whole community together, the whole building. So they have the community watch on each floor, and then the community watch for the whole building. So they're working together, protecting each other, watching over each other. And so it's great. You don't get Jeffrey Dahmer then. He would have never been able to move into the building. He lived in a multi-unit building, Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, the neighborhood thing, well, John Wayne Gacy lived in the neighborhood. And if they had this community watch, they would have noticed all these kids going into his house and never coming out. Because that's where he buried them, in the crawl space. They went in and never left. So a community watch also prevents people from being serial killers and criminals. And so it helps you stay informed. So it's a way for the community to protect each other and, make sure bad things don't happen and make sure they don't have bad people within the community. Because it makes it very tough for bad people to survive in a community that's very watchful. So again, down here is the medical district. And we have medical schools, but Northwestern needs to place people in residency programs, right? Feinberg. How about residency program at Cook County or a residency program at Rush? Or Northwestern could have from other medical schools, University of Chicago's medical school. You can do a residency at Northwestern Medical School, say. And if you're going to medical school at Northwestern, you can do a residency at the University of Chicago Medical School. If you want to stay within the Chicago area, there's all these medical schools you can do residencies at that are local. There's Malcolm College. And if Malcolm X, if the government knew and didn't do anything about the plot to murder him, then, yeah, I agree with the family. The government should be sued, and those people that were involved should get black marks on their name. If they knew and didn't do anything to prevent it, that's not correct. So, again, I agree with that. Here's Cook County down here, Stroger. Alex went to Johns Hopkins. He did his residency here at Cook County. And then he went on to be a physician at Johns Hopkins Medical Institution. My friend Jack, he did his residency at another. Here's Rush Children's. You can do a residency at a children's hospital. So you can do residency at Lurie's Children's. You can do residency at Rush Children's, at Comer's Children's Hospital. So I don't know what, Northwestern has that. But you have Stroger here. Cook County. I don't know. Where's Cook County's Children's Hospital? Or does Cook County work with Rush Children's? And, Rush Children's Hospital. So does Cook County have a joint venture with Rush Children's? Because they have babies at Cook County and that. And then they can take the baby over the Rush Children's Hospital. It's right next door. So if the mother has anything, they transfer the baby immediately to Rush Children's. That's why Lurie's Northwestern Hospital is right next to the Children's, because the lady, truly, her husband died. The lady who gave $100 million to Lurie's children wanted it right next to Northwestern. So if the pregnant mother has any complications or anything, it immediately gets involved Lurie's children. So the baby could be unborn, but then they bring over the children's specialist. But the mother should be going to Lurie's children anyways to get, as the baby's going through the first, second, third trimester, the mother should be going to Lurie's Children's Hospital. So the children's specialist can look, the heart, the brain, the neurologist, the cardiologist, and other specialists can see the baby born. So they take the ultrasound pictures and they disseminate it to the different specialty departments, and they all look at their own part of it, and then it comes back to the general gynecologist or who's ever running the team, and each of them say, yeah, the heart's good, yep, the brain's developing right, yep, the bone structure's good, the reproductive organs are growing right, and so on. And so they send it off, the images, to the different specialty departments. The specialty departments review them, send them back, their thoughts on what's going on from their part. And if they notice something, they can put a note. We noticed something that our specialists in our department thought, well, there's something that doesn't seem right in the neurological, and they can put comments, but they're looking at their specialty and checking off on it. So it disseminates the ultrasound to each department, and they look at it, and this is how you catch things early in the first, second, and third trimester. And the children's hospital is working with the adult hospital, because the adult hospital is caring for the mother. The children's hospital is caring for the unborn baby. And then after the baby's born, it goes to Rush Children's Hospital for their checkups, their pediatrics and everything. So they work together. So Cook County Health can work together. So they can be an alliance working together. So the strategic goal. So it can work together. And just like when you go in for your annual physical, they're supposed to take a scan of you and they send it out to all their specialists. So just like an adult, when they go up, and just like a pediatrics, they take a scan of you, they send it out to all the different specialists, they look at the different parts, and this is your annual wellness. They look at the different parts, or they send out the blood work results to the different departments, and they look at the blood work, and then they bring it back, and then you get it condensed. So every department is constantly, with an annual physical, everybody's involved. Everybody's involved, from the neurologist to the different cardiologists to the skeletal, structural, you name it. And they send back the statement on their part, and if they notice something, they put an added comment. We should say, we noticed something, neurology should take a second look at, or so on. So they can put comments if they think something's abnormal in some other part, but they're checking off on their part. And so it's one big team. So all these with the annual physical, they all get work. And they're reviewing results and then sending back their comments on results. So everybody stays busy, keeping people healthy. And so you can raise the cost of the annual physical, and an insurance company will be happy to give $1,000 for an annual physical. So you get a biannual physical, $2,000 a year. But they send it out to the cancer units, the oncology units and that. Truly, they take a look over the different oncology specialists, look through the image to see if there's cancer in anywhere. So there's different types of brain, whatever, and they look over it. So it goes out to oncology and everything, and they look over it to urologists and so on. They all have their own specialty. They look over it, then they combine it with your general practitioner who delivers the information to you. So they all stay busy. So raise the cost of annual physicals. I'm all for that. And starting with the unborn and the mother. So the mother is supposed to be going through this continuous physical evaluation. And so is the baby. Her physical evaluation in the first trimester. They look at images of her heart, her internal organs, her structural, looking at her blood work and other things, and they put together that diagnosis, the adult doctors. And then the baby doctors, the unborn, the Children's Hospital put together their results. And then they have the person that's the head of the team, the generalist, and he looks at the information and he delivers it to the mother. We see that this is going on with your breast, or these things are not developing. You're experiencing negative effects here. This is what's going on with your baby. How does the effects that are going on with your baby correlate to what's going on with you physically? Is it related or unrelated? Sometimes they're unrelated. Not all the time is the mother and child experiencing the same negativity. Usually, but not all the time, truly. So the mother can have issues that have nothing to do with the child, and the child can come out perfectly healthy. But the teams are working together, analyzing their part, and then combining it for an overview and delivering it to the mother, how the child and how she is doing. And so charge more for physicals. And I guarantee you, if you give this video to health insurance companies, they'll be happy to raise the reimbursement, $1,000, $2,000, because truly, that's once a year. And when in the long run, they don't get any of the shock claims. So you can raise that up. They pay what? I pay $400 a month. So I'm $400 a month. That's $4,800 a year, right? $4,000 plus 2 months, $4,800. So $4,800. They're paying out $2,000 to prevent anything better. That's only less than 50%. That's almost 33%. Not 33. But anyways, it's less than. The reimbursement, the government says, I think the mandatory is much higher. So that's nothing. And they get to put all that money in solid investments and let those investments earn, and they don't have to worry about the big shock claims that's going to cost them $1 million or $500,000 or $100,000. Because anything happens, they catch it early, and it doesn't cost them that much to treat, and it's highly curable, so they don't get any secondary, third conditions, and so on. So things work perfect. And we can fight obesity and everything else. So, again, this can be coordinated, and we can move on to the world. Illinois Medical District. So they have 3 million people to treat here in Chicago, right? And then if people come from outside for specialties. So that's a lot of annual physicals. That's 3 million annual physicals. At 3 million annual physicals, at $1,000, so you add 3 O's to that. So what are 3 million? That's $300 million. That's $300 million. If you charge $2,000, that's $600 million in medical billing just on physicals. Wow. So either $300 to $600 million on physicals. But when pregnant mother, you're going to get more than that. So you're talking upwards of $1 billion in physicals. Is that enough for them? Damn right that's enough for them in that aspect. Then you get all the things that happen, the accidents, the broken arm, and other stuff that they get work for. So, again, seems like a no-brainer, enough for the medical community from here for eternity, because they'll have to be doing this forever. So, again, from here to eternity. So all those students going through med school and that, and it's great. They get to save patients. And then you got the psychologists and psychiatrists and so on, and therapists. They get to work with people bettering their performance and everything, enhancing, truly going to the therapist to help your student get better grades. Go to the psychologist or psychiatrist to help your students. That's why they had for ADD and that, Ritalin. But the whole point was to help them get better grades, to help them perform better academically. So that's performance. So the kid's going to the therapist, not because there's some other issue, but to help them perform better in school. So figuring out what's going on and why they're having the challenges, so they can coordinate that information or give that information to parents and coordinate it with the parent teacher, and then tweak the stuff to get the child to perform. So they still have tons of work as well. So they all have lots to do. They're just not doing it. And so, again, this is all about enhancing performance. And when you do this, all these areas get a tick up. You get rid of the ghetto. Truly. And that means the food and the food quality and the atmosphere is that better. And people get to deal with better people. And this creates community. Why do you think you get all the wine snobs and they like getting together? Truly. They like getting together because they can talk educatedly about the wine. Here's Rush Physical Therapy. But they get together and they like talking about the wine, the cheese, and that. And they like sharing, stimulating educational conversations like me and Jen used to share a lot of. And I was around her friends, and we could share a lot of educational, stimulating, but we also played football together. Jay played flag football with me. And then we played for several years flag football, and I would have continued. We could have changed the touch football too. So, and then you can change the Nerf football, senior Nerf football. How about seniors playing Nerf football? Seniors playing touch, not flag. Flag's more difficult. Touch is easier. So they touch you anywhere and you're caught. So it's less physical contact in touch football. So seniors can play Nerf. The ball is a Nerf ball. You fall on it, it doesn't do anything to you. Truly. You might get a little bit of wind if you fall, but it really crushes. I love Nerf footballs. When it came out, the dog did tear them up sometimes, but not my other dogs, younger Ralph and I think, or I forget. But anyways, I love Nerf football. So seniors can play touch football. Where is that? They can have senior touch football, co-ed, male leagues, female leagues, touch football. Ross's father was playing full-on hockey at 70 plus years old. Full-on hockey at 70 plus years old. Ross was 50-something. His father was 70-something. Father's son, 50-something-year-old son, playing competitive hockey with his 70-plus-year-old, going on 80-year-old father who was perfectly healthy. And he was taking checks in that. His bones were healthy and everything. Every year his father looked forward to playing competitive hockey. And Ross, you think's a wimp, but Ross is actually a very good hockey player. And Ross, I used to like because I could go to the Chicago Blackhawks things. He was big on the Chicago when they're in the playoffs and everything, and I could go to things and watch hockey and talk hockey with Ross. So he looks like a girly guy, but he's not. He's kind of a Wayne Gretzky type hockey player. And he takes checks and he gives checks. And so his father, almost 80 years old, playing competitive hockey, playing with his son. And it's the one thing the two of them got along with. Without hockey, father and son, they're big ideology differences. Truly, huge ideology differences. But the one thing that they really bonded on and kept them together was playing hockey together. That they loved together. They were big hockey fans. They could watch hockey games. They could talk about hockey. And that kept them as family. Truly, as family. If not, they hated each other's guts in that way. Truly, the ideologies were so unbelievably different. But when it came to it, they had this thing that kept them together, kept the love, kept them as family, and it was a very good thing. And Ross now he's older than me, so he's got to be in his 60s. And his father has got to be somewhere in his 80s somewhere. And I wonder if he's still playing hockey because he wasn't looking to quit anytime soon. And he was out there.